We're four sisters, Amy, Joe, Beth, and I. I shall start our story during the winter of 1864, when Papa was still away at war. What a miserable Christmas we all thought. How happy a Christmas it really was.
Well, at least we have a Christmas tree, Amy, and I think it's beautiful.
Christmas won't be Christmas, Beth. Not without presents.
Oh, it's dreadful to be poor. I especially feel it because I'm the eldest and I can remember when we used to be rich.
We're better off than a lot of people, Meg. Orphans, for instance. We have Father and Marnie, and each other.
But we haven't got a father, Beth, and probably won't have him for a long time.
But Joe, the men in the army are having such a terrible winter. Marnie's right. We have to make sacrifices.
Only I'm tired of making over these same dresses year after year.
Well, I don't think any of you suffer as I do. You don't have to go to school with impertinent girls who label your father just because he's poor.
Oh, Amy, if you mean libel, then say so. And stop talking about Papa as if he was a pickle bottle.
Well, you needn't be so satirical about it, Joe. It's proper to use good words and improve one's vocabulary.
Vocabulary? Christopher Columbus.
Joe, don't use slang words.
Oh, I just detest rude, unladylike young ladies.
And I hate affected snakes.
Birds in their little nests agree.
Oh, I'll never get over my disappointment at not being a boy. Look at me, dying, simply dying, to go and fight at Father's side. And here I am, sitting and knitting like a poky old woman.
Poor Joe.
Oh, thank you, Miss Beth, but I not need any pity, because someday I'll be a famous writer and make my fortune. Oh, but not that I'll forget my sisters. You'll all ride around in fine carriages. And you, my Beth, you will have a new piano. And you, Meg, you'll have 10 dozen dresses and satin slippers and red-headed boys to dance with.
I shall like that. I thank you.
So there's no fretting now. I'll get famous just as soon as I can.
Marmee didn't come home until late that afternoon. She'd been in the village helping poor Mrs. Hummel. As soon as Beth had brought her chair to the fire, I told Marmee my big news.
News, Meg? What news, dear?
I saw Mrs. King about the position, Marmee, and she's gonna take me $4 a week.
Meg, I'm proud of you.
Oh, they have a beautiful house, Marmee, and the children are sweet. I won't mind working at all.
Was there any mail in the village, Marmee? A letter from Father?
You don't think he'd forget to write us at Christmas, do you? Amy, dear, the letter's in my mouth.
For all her scolding, Aunt March had given each of us a new shining silver dollar. Supper would have to wait that night as we dashed off to the village store. And later, after we wrapped the presents that we were giving to ourselves, Marmee took out the letter that had come from Papa. A party! An invitation to a party in the richest, most elegant home in Concord. No wonder we were so excited when Saturday night finally arrived. Yet, to be completely honest, only Amy and I really wanted to go.
You look just lovely, Meg, dear.
Thank you, Marmee.
Just lovely. No, where's Amy?
Oh, she's painting Joe's dress, Marmee.
She's what?
Joe's done it again, stood too close to the fire. Her best dress, too.
Oh, no.
Beth and I patched it for her, and now Amy's painting the patch to sort of blend it in. Watercolors. She wanted to be a writer, far more than a wife. Joe never stopped writing. It left her very little spare time, even for Laurie.
Laurie's here, Joe.
Joe must have run away. Joe must have run all the way home. I remember how annoyed I was because she burst in the house just as Mr. Brooke was about to leave. He'd been calling on me. She all but knocked him down, too.
Well, can't a member of this family enter the house?
Oh, I was never so embarrassed in all my life. Oh, Joe, when are you going to stop your rude, romping ways?
Not till I'm old and stiff and need a crutch.
Look at you. No hairpins, no comb, running down a public road.
I wish I was a horse.
Oh!
Falling in love? That's what you are? And Amy's not much better. Always primping around and showing off. That's the only one I can depend on. Where is she?
She's in the parlor. Oh, we just had a big surprise.
What kind of surprise?
Mr. Lawrence sent her a present, and it took 6 men to carry it over. His piano.
Piano?
Yes, he's given it to Beth.
For me, Joe. He gave it to me. Mr. Lawrence.
But his note, darling, you haven't even opened up the note he sent. We'll read it, Beth.
I can't. Will you read it, Joe?
Miss Elizabeth March. Dear Madam,
Ooh, how elegant.
I have had many pairs of slippers in my life, but never any that suited me so well as yours. I like to pay my debts, so I know you will allow the old gentleman to send you something which once belonged to his little granddaughter he lost.
Ooh.
I remain your grateful friend and humble servant, James Lawrence.
Aren't you going to play the piano, darling?
But what event struck all of us, like a bolt of lightning? A telegram from the War Department. house as empty as now. Father wounded in a hospital, how badly we didn't even know. And now Marmee had left us too. And then came the worst disaster of all.
Come on in, Beth. Lunch is all ready. How are the Hummels, dear? Did you help them like Marmee said?
Don't come near me.
Beth, what is it?
The baby. The Hummel's baby. The baby's dead, Joe. The baby's dead.
Oh no.
I tried to warm her feet, but she was so cold and laid so still that I knew she was dead. And then the doctor came in and said it was scarlet fever.
Oh, Beth.
Look at her face.
No, keep away from me. I feel funny.
I'll put her to bed. Joe, run for Dr. Barnes. Those are the darkest days of our lives, but our prayers were answered and our little sister Beth was spared. Marmee was home by now, and then the glorious days when Papa came back to us too, thin and worn and weak, but home again.
Well, Meg, I guess the March family is really all together at once. Oh, I call that splendid. I do really call that splendid. Oh, if only you didn't.
If I didn't what?
Meg, are you expecting that man to call?
Man. Well, if you mean John Brooke, Joe,
Well, I hope you really don't think that you're in love with him, because I can tell you're not.
I'm not.
Nope. You see, Meg, I'm a writer, and so I know you have none of the symptoms. Your appetite's fine, you sleep like a log, and you don't mope in corners. Therefore, you're not in log. Therefore, you do not go and you do not marry that man.
I don't intend to go and marry any man.
You don't? Hurrah for you! You're a trump. What will you say to him when he comes begging for your hand?
Well, I shall say, thank you, Mr. Brooke, quite calmly and decidedly. Thank you, Mr. Brooke. Let us be good friends, but nothing more.
Good. Hand to the mitten, Meg, and then maybe things around here will be the way they once were when...
Oh no,
Oh no, what?
Joe, he's here. Look, the veranda.
You're in luck. You can tell him off right now. Oh, if only I could see the look in his face when you do it.
Poor John. I tried to send him away. I really did, but I didn't have a chance to. We weren't alone for 5 minutes before Aunt March descended on us and ordered me out into the hall.
What was he doing? Proposing to you, wasn't he?
Oh, please, Aunt March, he'll hear you.
Well, let me tell you, miss, except that Rook, Crook, or Brook, and not one penny of my money goes to you.
I shall marry whom I please, Aunt March, and I don't care anything about your money.
It is your duty, Miss Independence, to marry a rich man and help your family. You may be perfectly sure that fortune chaser knows you have a rich aunt, and that's why he wants to marry you.
How dare you say such a thing? Why, my John would no more marry for money than I would.
Do as you please, but the day you marry him, consider yourself disinherited. Now you even made me forget what I came here for in the first place.
Meg, I couldn't help it over here.
Oh, John,
Thank you for defending me, Meg, for proving that you do care.
I didn't know how much until she said those dreadful things.
Meg, my dearest Meg.
So sure that another wedding would not be far distant. Joe was back, and the old house in Concord was briefly lighted again, but there was a great darkness impending. Oh, Beth, our little Beth.
Don't cry, Joe. I don't want you to cry for me.
I'm not crying for you, darling. I'm just lonesome for Amy and our old happy times. I'll be all right.
It's no use, Joe. I know what the doctor must have said. Please don't tell Marmee or Father, but I know. Joe, you mustn't be afraid. Doesn't it sound funny, me saying that to you, when you'd always say it to me? You've always reminded me of the seagull, Joe. Strong and wild, fond of the wind and storm, and dreaming of flying out to sea. Marmee said I was the cricket on the hearth, content to stay at home. I can't express it very well, because it shouldn't even try, except to my Joe. But it seems that I've never intended to live very long. I never planned what I would do when I grew up like the rest of you did, because I could never bear the thought of leaving home. But I'm not afraid anymore, Joe. I've learned that I won't lose you, that nothing can really part us, though it seems to. And we'll always be a family, even though one of us is gone. But Joe, I think I'll be homesick for you, even in heaven.
In April, when my baby was born, I named her Elizabeth in memory of my sister. After we had lost Beth, no one saw very much of Jo. She shut herself up in a garret writing. But then, one day, she came to visit.
It's all finished, Meg. My novel. I'm on the way to the post office now.
Oh, Jo, how wonderful. Can I read it?
When it comes back.
Maybe it won't come back. Maybe they'll publish it.
I'm not sending it to a publisher. It's going to Professor Bear.
Oh, you write to him often, don't you?
Yes, I do. And he knows what I'm writing about. I mean, he understands me, Meg.
I think it's simply splendid. We had a letter, Jo, from Lori.
Oh,
Jo, how would you feel if you heard that Lori was learning to care for someone else?
Amy.
Yes, they're all in Paris now.
And I wouldn't mind at all, Meg. How could I?
Well, it's just that you seem so alone, Jo. I thought that if Lori came back again, we...
No. Amy and Lori. I'm truly glad, Meg. Truly glad.
In June, Amy and Lori were back in Concord as husband and wife. It was a wonderfully happy reunion that day. Even Aunt March was reasonably cheerful. Only if during the party, Lori heard someone at the front door.